A Buy Canadian movement is sweeping the nation. Made in Canada labels are now front and center in grocery and liquor stores. And the trend is moving into malls and clothing shops. Joining us now is Jimil Ataman, a U of A professor specializing in sustainable innovation in global fashion industry. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, this is quite fascinating. People are really paying attention to this, and now clothing is a big subject. How can people support Canadian apparel?
Yeah, I think this is a really great time for consumers to start asking questions about where their clothes are from, who's making their clothes. And in Canada, there are a number of brands who have been doing a lot of long-term work to bring some of their manufacturing back into Canada.
Okay.
And so consumers can start really looking into, at this moment, where are my clothes coming from? Who's making them?
Because it isn't necessarily so simple, because it might be a Canadian company, but maybe not made here. What's the difference between made in Canada and made in the USA?
Yeah, so these labels, made in Canada, made in the US, they have specific regulations around the content of, 51% can be a made in Canada label. And the same kind of labeling structure exists in the US as well. Now, we have lots of brands who maybe wouldn't ever be able to reach this threshold because they have to outsource to import textiles or notions, things like zippers. None of that stuff is made in Canada.
Okay.
It would be impossible for them to get it here. And so, I think we need to consider these labels, but with a little bit of nuance.
Okay. Why is it difficult for apparel? Oh, I guess you've touched on that a little bit, for it to be completely made in Canada?
Yeah, we're talking about decades of trade policy that has, moved this industry overseas. Brands have gone for years in search of cheaper labor, for bigger production, manufacturing firms that can make clothes faster and faster. And so a lot of this just doesn't exist in Canada anymore.
Okay. Is there much transparency if we want to go online and do some shopping there when it comes to determining maybe where it's made, or at least which company is Canadian?
Yeah. Right now, more than ever, the brands that are, have Canadian manufacturing or doing something in Canada, they're going to tell you that right on their website.
Okay.
So they're aware that people are looking for this information, and more, because of fashion activists, there's been a push for brands to be more transparent about where their supply chains are, who's making their clothes. And so you can look on the brand's website, you can click, Google the name of the brand, supply chain, and you can find some information about, if they're disclosing it, they will tell you where it's from, who their partners are.
So the information is out there.
It is. And if it isn't, then you might want to consider maybe not making that decision to buy with them.
If we go really local to maybe some people who are doing clothes within the city, is that maybe a bit more of a guarantee that it might be a little bit more Canadian?
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea to start local. Look for your brands in this, in Edmonton or in any Canadian city. There are lots of people who have been doing the harder work of bringing that manufacturing here, or, thinking about sourcing closer to home. And so there's plenty to look for, and I hope that consumers take this moment to really invest in their local apparel brands.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming in this morning, giving us a little insight, and maybe we just need to do a little legwork on our own as well.
Just a little, yeah.
Just a little. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.